So, inland versus international rules. What's the nautical line call that separates those rules?
Call reg.
Yeah, call reg's a demarcation line. International rules equals what?
High seas.
High seas. So, before I get into some of the information that we went over on Monday, I'm just going to go over the three kind of tows again. So, if I saw three mast headlights in a vertical line, what kind of tow is that?
Hauser tow.
And what's the length of that tow? Is it a short or a
More
long?
than
More than 200 meters.
It's more than 200 meters in length. So that's the only time you'll ever see three mast headlights on a vertical line. But so that's at night though. But during the day, what day shape would they have to show on the tug and the tow?
Black diamond.
Yeah, on the tug and the tow. And at the stern, what two lights would they have over each other? It's inland and international.
White over yellow or yellow over white.
Yellow over white towing at night.
And that's
They would
both.
have to have
That's both.
satellites.
Yeah, international and inland, same, correct? Right.
Yeah.
All right. On
Yep.
that.
It's just, because in inland, regardless, if it's less than 200 meters in length, they would have two mast headlights on a vertical line. The only difference is that if it's greater than 200 meters, then they have three mast headlights on a vertical line. And during the day, they would have black diamonds.
And what kind of tow was that?
A hawser tow,
Hauser, okay,
towing from a stern.
okay.
So what are the two other kind of tows that we have?
Push and hip.
Yep. So pushing ahead or towing alongside. Now, we learned about this kind of light, and it's an inland rule only. What kind of light is this?
Special blinking yellow light.
Flashing yellow light. And there's only three different kinds of vessels we would see this on. It's an air cushion vessel operating in non-displacement mode. The front of a barge being pushed ahead or towing alongside for a pusher and a hip. So at the stern, though, inland only, what two lights would you see over each other?
Yellow over yellow, pushing a fellow.
Yep. Yellow over yellow pushing another fellow. That's the same for a push tow and a hip tow. For a hip tow, the tow itself would have a stern light. But for a pusher tow, would it have a stern light?
No.
No, because it would blind the captain. So now I'm going to get into some of the new information that we went over on Monday. So just to hit the nail on the head again, we learned the rules of the road by the order of threat and the pecking order of right-of-ways. What's the saying for the pecking order?
New reels touch fixed, so purchase. So
Yeah.
sorry if that was loud.
So what do those vessels mean though? Like what do those words mean? What's new mean?
Not under command.
Under command.
Not under command. And what is that defined as? How would you describe it?
Unable to maneuver.
Yeah, due to an exceptional circumstance, is unable to maneuver according to the rules. They're at the top. So what lights would you see at night?
Red over red.
Red over red, captain is dead. What are the two day shapes?
Two black balls.
Two black balls. So the saying is red over red, captain is dead. Put two balls in his grave. So then what's the next kind of vessel on the pecking order?
Ram.
Restricted in maneuver. Maneuver.
What does
Constrained by
that
her
mean?
draft.
It's ram, restricted in their ability to maneuver.
A
What does that
workboat?
mean? What does that due to of?
Workboat.
Yeah, it's due to the nature of the work. What are some examples of that?
A dredger.
Yep, dredging, pipelines, recovery or launching an aircraft, servicing
Towing.
channel markers. So what lights would you see in a vertical line at night?
Red, white, red.
Yep. And what would be the day shapes?
Ball,
Ball.
diamond, ball.
Yep. What's the next kind of vessel on the pecking order? So new rails catch. So what does catch mean?
Constrained by her draft.
Constrained by her draft. So
Is it-
what's the draft of a vessel? It's how far the hull sits below the water line. So your vessel might draft 5 feet, could draft 3 feet, etc. So what's unique about constrained by draft? Is that an inland rule only or an international rule only?
International
International.
only.
It's an international rule only. And what 3 lights in a vertical line would you see?
Triple red, 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 red.
Yep. And what would be the day shape?
The cylinder.
Yep,
Beer-
black cylinder,
beer can.
draft beer can. So fishing is broken into 2 categories. So if I'm trolling, is that fishing?
Yeah.
No,
No.
will not be a
It's not.
fishing line. It has to be fishing gear, right?
Yep, it's any gear or apparatus that restricts maneuverability. It does include nets, lines, and trawls, but trolling is not considered fishing because it doesn't restrict maneuverability. So if they're using like lines or trawls or nets, if they're trawling, what lights would you see in a vertical line at night?
Green over white.
Green over white trawling at night. If they're engaged in a different kind of fishing, what would you see at night?
Red over white,
Yep. And what would be the day shapes?
red over white.
Two
Diamonds,
triangles.
2 diamonds.
Yeah, it's 2 cones, 2 triangles with the apexes facing together. So what's the next vessel in the pecking order?
Sail.
They-
Sailing. And that's when you got to stop and think for a second. So sailing gets treated as its own special rule. So with the vessels that we just went over, it's a must that they show those lights and day shapes. How many meters or more in length?
12 meters?
20.
Ah,
But if you're a sailing vessel, so a sailing vessel is under sail, not using an engine. But if a sailing vessel is using her engine, it's just a power-driven vessel. And if it's greater than how many meters in length, they would have to show that black cone with the apex facing downwards.
12.
12.
Oh.
And there's a couple other things that are different about sailing vessels too. If they wanted to show their side lights at the top of the mast, what lights would you see at the top? Would it be green over red or red over green?
Red
red
over
over
green.
green.
Red over green, sailing serene. Sailing vessels may also show their side lights and stern light in 1 lantern. Less than how many meters in length?
Less than
12.
12.
Less than 20.
Shit.
So no, it's okay. So
The
you guys are
12 and
getting a lot of the
20.
questions right, but the ones that you get wrong, write down and put a star
Yeah.
next to it
Yeah,
because that's what you need to study.
yeah, the
This is why I'm
sailing
going over this
meters.
stuff. So then there's 3 different classifications of power-driven vessels. If you're a power-driven vessel less than 12 meters in length, what lights do you have to show?
One all around and two bow lights.
Side lights and an all-around white light. And then if you're greater than 12 meters but less than 50, what lights do you have to show?
Then you have your 2 bow lights. You now have 2 nav lights, a mast light, and then a stern light.
Yes. Side lights, 1 masthead light, and a stern light. But then, so then the third classification category of a power-driven vessel is if they're greater than 50 meters in length. So that's when how many masthead lights would you have to have?
2.
2.
Yep, on the fore and aft center line of the vessel, you would have to have side lights and a stern light. And the one on the aft center line of the vessel would have to be higher in elevation because a masthead light is white and a stern light is white, and you would have to be able to tell the difference between the 2. Does the seaplane have any right of ways?
No,
No,
Why?
it chooses when it's a vessel.
They choose when they become a vessel. They can just keep flying in circles. So then we learn the definition of underway. Can anyone tell me what underway means when you're underway?
Not anchored.
So
Not-
you're not anchored, fast to the shore, like if you were tied to like a tree or something, or
Mhm.
aground. Now there's two categories of underway. There's underway making way, and there's underway not making way. Making way, you're pushing water, you're moving. Not making way, you're just drifting. Your engines are off, or they're on and you're just in neutral. Then we learn the terminology of being in sight. What does that mean? Now, the first thing I'm going to ask is that when only one person can visually see the other, or is it when both people can look at each other at the same time?
When one can see the other.
Yep. Visually with your eyes, though. Just because you might be able to see a vessel on your radar doesn't mean they're in sight. It's only when you can visually see them with your own two eyes and not through electronics.
what about binoculars? If that, I don't know if that would come up. Would that be?
Nah, that wouldn't come up. But
Okay,
in
all right,
reality,
no, I
yeah,
thought-
as long as you can see it,
Yeah.
not through like your electronics, because
Yeah.
technically, like on a radar, like you're not actually seeing the vessel, you're just seeing dots that something's ahead of you. So, what does lookout mean? When do you have to have a proper lookout? Is it sometimes only in restricted visibility, day or night, or all the above?
All the
All-
above.
It's all the time. You gotta have a constant, eyes in the back of your head. You always gotta be looking around constantly. Especially when I take out thousands of people a summer. When I have people on the boat, I'm constantly turning my head around back and forth and just watching everybody and looking all the way around me because you never know what's coming from behind you. My radar is always on and whatnot, but I take out a lot of people that have never been on the ocean before, never been on a boat before. So, especially with people that really have no experience, it's a whole different game. So then we learn the definition of safe speed. Can anyone tell me what that means?
Based on the weather conditions, navigation, and
Yeah,
things like that, how fast you should be able to
So
move
it's
appropriately.
safe speed is defined as the speed in which you can take proper and effective action to avoid a collision. Now, that's a variable. It changes every day. Like you just gave a couple examples. So some of those things that you have to take into account is the sea state, is restricted visibility, things like that, day or night. Especially if it's rough out, you're not opening it up. Especially in the fog and it's like pea soup and you can't even see the bow of your boat, you're not going fast. So no matter what these rules say, you can always depart the rules of the road for immediate danger to avoid it. When does risk of collision exist? Can anyone tell me that?
When you think it does.
Yeah, when you think it does. That's when it exists. And what's the definition of risk of collision when there's a what?
Oh, bearing, consistent
Yep,
bearing.
yep. Constant bearing, decrease in range. A bearing is the direction it is away from me, not you are from it. So that's when, I mean, you're gonna really learn about that with chart plotting. So like a bearing is the angle between two objects or, two vessels or me and a car, whatever. So constant bearing is that angle is accurate. It's head on. But then the range is decreasing. We're getting closer and closer and closer. That's when risk of collision exists, when there's a constant bearing and a decreasing range. And risk of collision exists when you think it exists. And as soon as you think it exists, that's when you have to start taking action. Now you can wait a little bit, but my professional opinion is once you think it, just do it. Don't even take the risk. So now we're going to talk about action to avoid a collision. So when it becomes apparent to you that they're not taking the appropriate action, do you make a small course change or a large course change?
Large course change.
Large course change. Now, there's a few things you can do. You can either make a large course change, you can put the boat in neutral, reverse your engines. There's a lot of different ways you can avoid a collision. But as soon as it becomes apparent to you that they're not taking the action, you have to. That's when the stand-on vessel has to take action, when it becomes apparent to you. So like if you're in a meeting situation and you're coming head to head with another vessel, do you alter course to starboard or port?
Starboard.
Yep. And if you're gonna enter a channel, do you do it at a large right angle or do you do it in the general flow of traffic?
General flow.
General flow of traffic. But if you're gonna cross from one side to the other and just completely cross it, you do it at a straight line as possible. So then we learned about narrow channels. So we learned the pecking order. But narrow channels, that's when you gotta kind of stop and think again. They have its own special rule, and the pecking order changes when you're only in a narrow channel. So if you're a vessel, a small vessel, less than 20 meters in length, sailing and fishing, you cannot impede the safe passage of another vessel that can't deviate from their course. So that's when the pecking order changes when you're in a narrow channel. If you're less than 20 meters in length, a small vessel, sailing and fishing, you can't impede the passageway of a larger vessel that can only navigate safely, that can't deviate from their course. Because if they deviate from their course, they could run aground, etc. So then we learned a little bit about the traffic separation scheme.
Paul, real quick.
Yeah, go
before-
ahead.
20 meters sailing or fishing?
So if you're on a narrow channel and you're a small vessel, which is considered less than 20 meters in length, power
Yep.
driven, a sailing vessel and a fishing vessel, you would have to get out of the way of a larger vessel that can only navigate safely and can't deviate from their course. So like the Salem, like put it this way, like the Salem ferry, for let's just say for whatever reason they had to go into like Marblehead Channel, which is a very narrow channel. A sailing vessel fishing, they can't get in the way of that power driven vessel because they're more than 20 meters in length and they can't really deviate from their course in that narrow channel.
I get the narrow channel and not being able to deviate from the course. It was when you threw in the sailing, the fishing.
And in a power driven vessel that's less than 20 meters in length.
So you're just doing the pecking order and you're saying,
It just, yeah, the pecking order
Yeah.
changes.
All
Yeah,
right,
once
I
you see
got
the words narrow channel, that's when the pecking order changes. When it's just its own special rule.
got it.
Any other questions so far? So then we learned that a sailing vessel on the starboard tack has the right of way. So then we got into overtaking. Overtaking is how many degrees abaft the beam?
22.5?
Yes. You're overtaking another vessel when you're at 22.5 degrees abaft the beam. So with that being said, if you're in between 112.5 degrees and 135 degrees, that's an overtaken situation. If you're in between 225 and 247.5, that's an overtaken situation. That's 22, because you wouldn't be able to see the side lights. And that's 22.5 degrees abaft of the beam. So that's that zone that I mentioned before. So then we learned about a special circumstance situation. So with the rules of the road, they give you, all cases of scenarios between two vessels. But a special circumstance situation, according to the rules, is when there's more than two vessels meeting. So then we got into like a crossing situation. So if you have two power-driven vessels and one's coming off of your port, you see their green starboard side light. That means you maintain course and speed. Green means go. But if they're coming off your starboard, you would see their port side light, which is red. Red means stop. Which now this gets into stand-on vessel and give-way vessel. A stand-on vessel maintains course and speed. A give-way vessel has to get out of the way. When does a stand-on vessel must have to depart from the rules of the road, when it becomes what to them that the give-way vessel is not doing what?
A collision.
Yeah, if it becomes apparent to the stand-on vessel that the give-way vessel is not taking appropriate and effective action to avoid collision, that's when the stand-on vessel has to depart from the rules of the road to avoid immediate danger. Is there any questions so far that I have went over so far? Give me 2 seconds.
Yeah, I have one question on that last one. If the vehicle's on your starboard,
Yeah, 2 seconds.
okay.
Go ahead.
If the vehicle's on your starboard and they're the stand-on vehicle, or a stand-on vessel, do you have to slow down, or can you go to their stern and go around them if
Yeah,
it's
you have
safe
to
to
get out of the
pass?
way.
It
Yeah,
doesn't
you have
matter.
to get.
Okay, you don't have
Doesn't
to
matter. You
stop.
just have to get out of their way.
Okay, that's my
Change your
question.
course.
All right.
So now we're going to get into the lights and day shapes, which we already talked about a lot. So a lot of this information right now, before we get into the sounds, because the sounds is a whole other different part of the rules. But a lot of this, what we're going to go over right now, is things that we already went over, which is good. So the rules are divided into the 5 parts. So now we're on part C. Oh, also, what I wanted to go over is, what does annex equal?
Fishing.
Fishing.
Fishing. So a mast headlight, side lights, stern light, all around light. When do you have to show your nav lights? When do you have to turn them on?
Any question in visibility?
From sunset to sunrise, in restricted visibility, or near restricted visibility. That's when you have to turn on your navigation lights on. So a mast headlight shows an unbroken light at 225 degrees. A side light shows 112.5 degrees. Stern light is 135 degrees. And an all-around light is a perfect circle.
Hey, so one question, which I guess I didn't notice. So if this boat right now was in a ram situation, was restricted, and they had to put their lights on, do they shut any of those nav lights off, or will it still be like
If
white,
they're
if they're red, white, red? All am I gonna see is one white? Am I just gonna see the red, white, red?
if they're underway, not making way. But if they're underway making way, they would have to have the side lights, mast headlights, stern light on, and red, white, red.
Okay. So if they're just in one place, just doing their thing, then they'll have them on. Okay.
Yep. If they're stationary in the water and they're not moving, then they would just have the three lights on. But if they're making way through the water, like transporting cargo, they would have to have the side lights on, mast headlight or lights, and stern light.
So when you think about green over white or red over white for fishing,
Yep.
the same thing holds true with the navigation lights as well, correct?
Yes. Yep. So like if they're driving out to the fishing grounds, they're just a power driven vessel. But then once they start fishing, then they would have to turn on their red over white or green over white. But if they're like trawling and they're like, towing a trawl for like ground fish, they would have to have their side lights on, mast headlight, stern light, fishing lights as well. But if they're just like stationary in the water and they're pulling up a net and they're not moving, they would just have their fishing lights on. But then if they're making way through the water while they're engaged in their occupation, then they would have to have the additional lights on as well.
Even if it's at night?
Yeah. Even if they're moving, because they're
I
making
mean,
way.
if they're not moving, you wouldn't
No,
leave.
if they're not moving, then they would just have their fishing lights on.
Okay,
It's only if you're making way.
got it.
Any other questions so far? Okay. So what's the main difference between these two pictures? What's the length of the vessels? They're power driven. It's just one has one mast headlight on and the other one has two. So the picture on the left, it has two mast headlights in a vertical line. Well, not in a vertical line, but on the fore and aft center line of the vessel. What does that tell you? How big is that vessel? Greater than how many meters?
50.
Greater than 50. And then the one on the right is less than 50, but it's greater than 12. Because you must have a mast headlight on if you're greater than 12 meters of length. So looking at this picture, you see yellow over white towing at night. It's a hawser tow. But what happens if you saw three mast headlights in a vertical line? What would that tell me about this vessel?
It was more than 200-meter tow.
Yes. Now, if they're more than 200 meters in length, during the day, they would have to have the black diamond. So you're only ever going to see three mast headlights on a vertical line in international waters or in inland waters. It depends on the length of the tow. But this is the only kind of vessel where in international waters you would see a towing light, only on a hawser tow. Because on a pusher tow or a hip tow, it's inland only, yellow over yellow. But then once they go into the high seas, they shut the towing lights off. So this is another picture. And you see the black diamond, so that means that the length of the toe exceeds more than 200 meters in length. What does this tell us about this picture? So you see yellow over yellow pushing another fellow. What are the two kinds of toes that you would see this on?
A push and a hip.
Yep. Once they get into the high seas, what would change about this picture?
Two yellows would turn white.
Yep. Now a composite unit toe is just treated as a power-driven vessel. And in this diagram, how big is this vessel depending on, from the lights that they're showing, how big is this vessel over?
More than 50?
Yes, because they have two masthead lights. What about this picture? Well, it says on the bottom. It's less than 15 meters wide, and it's greater than 12 because it has one masthead light.
So on that last picture, they didn't need any day. So I saw this today and I was looking up at the lights and stuff like that. But they didn't have any day signals or anything, any
No,
visual.
the reason why is because it's just treated as a power-driven vessel.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Sailing gets treated differently. So the saying is red over green, sailing serene. Now, if they decide to show the silets at the top of the mast, red over green, can they also show them on the bow? No, because why? It would look like two different vessels when it's only one. Sailing vessels underway and vessel under oars. So a sailing vessel must have silets and a stern light. But if they're less than how many meters in length, can they combine those three lights into one lantern?
12.
It's 20.
Oh, yeah.
All right, I don't make the same mistake twice.
No, it's good. It's, that's something star, and that's good. This is why I keep asking these questions. Another question about a sailing vessel is if they are under machinery and they're greater than how many meters in length or more, they have to show the day shape that they're power driven.
12 meters.
12 meters.
12. So the first question I asked is a sailing vessel underway less than 20 meters in length. They can combine their skylights and stern light at the top of the mast into one lantern. Then if they're greater than 12 meters in length, then they would have to show the black cone that they're propelled by machinery. But if they're less, then they don't.
Is there a rule about, I mean, I see where they're flying it right there on the halyard, but is there a specific location where that belongs?
Anywhere like on that where you can visually see it. I don't think there's a specific exact spot, but it would have to be easily seen from other vessels.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So if you're engaged in fishing using gear that restricts maneuverability, but you're not engaged in trawling, it's red over white fishing at night. Now, this is a question, John, that you asked recently, like 10 minutes ago. So in the first diagram on the left, they're underway making way while fishing. But then the picture on the right, they're engaged in fishing, but they're underway not making way. So that's why you don't see their navigation lights on. In the picture on the left, they're pushing water. Their engines are on, they're in gear. But the picture on the right, they're not in gear, but they're engaged in fishing. So that's why they only have the red over white and not the side lights of stern light.
Because so we can assume they're not drifting
They could be drifting.
on the right.
Yes.
So they're just they're underway, but
They're underway, but they're not making way.
they're not making way.
Their engines could be off.
Okay.
So at the bottom, you see a black cone. And it says when there is outlying gear extended more than 150 meters horizontally from the vessel, an all-round white light at night, or a cone apex upwards, and then the direction of the gear. And this is same for inland and same for international. Any questions with this?
So do they add another white light that points at the gear, or is there,
Yeah,
is it,
it would be an all-around white light.
so all around, so they still have the red over white, you're fishing at night, and if it's 150
Meters
feet,
horizontally from the port or starboard, they would have to have a all-round white light in the direction of the gear, or during
Okay.
the day, they would have that black cone.
okay.
So if they're engaged in trawling, though, then it would be green over white. During the day, it would be two black cones with the apexes facing together. So in the pictures in the left, they're underway, not making way. And this one, they're underway, making way. Their side lights are on, their side lights are off. So it's either underway, making way, or underway, not making way. Any questions so far?
Are
So
any
now,
are any
go
of the
ahead.
questions on the test visual like this?
No. No, it's just, so at the end of, the class today, later on, I'm going to send you guys the first practice test and just have it done before, Monday night. Then I'm going to go over it. And then I'll have you guys do a 50 question one, like while we're on Zoom. Then we can go over it. And then I'll send you another one to do for Thursday. And then we can go over that first thing Thursday. And then we can start getting into chart plotting. Red over red, captain is dead. Not under command. Put two balls in his grave. Due to an exceptional circumstance, is unable to maneuver by the rules. Restricted inability to maneuver due to the nature of the vessel's work. Red, white, red, ball, diamond, ball. Constrained by draft bear can. 3 all-around red lights in a vertical line. The day shape would be a black cylinder. Is this an inland rule only or international rule only? International.
International.
Yep. So with not under command, restricted inability to maneuver, constrained by draft, fishing. If they're greater than how many meters or more in length, they must show those lights in day shapes.
20.
20. But if a sailing vessel is propelled by machinery and it's a power driven, how many meters or more in length would they have to show that black cone?
12.
12.
Can you say that again?
Yep. So not under command, restricted in her ability to maneuver, constrained by draft, fishing. So most of the pecking order, they have to show those designated lights and day shapes if they're greater than 20 meters or more in length. But if you're a sailing vessel, but you're propelled by machinery, so you're treated as a power-driven vessel according to the rules, if you're greater than 12 meters in length, then you must show that shape, which is the black cone.
Right, I wrote this down before.
So then the next slide is a pilot vessel. And the lights is white over red, pilot ahead. And during the day, they would just show a black ball if they were anchored as well. Can day shapes be a different color than black, or do they have to be black?
They have to be
Black.
black.
Black only.
Yeah. Yeah.
What if the weather changes and it's really foggy and you put your nav lights on? Do they not use day shapes anymore? Or would they use,
Sound signals, which we're going to get into,
oh,
which would be foreshore blast every 2 minutes. Oh, yeah, every 2 minutes. But if they're anchored, it would be every minute, which we're going to get into all the sounds in a little bit. So I'm not going to jump ahead. So an anchored vessel, if they're less than 50 meters in length, then you have to have one all-around white light. But if you're greater than 50, you would have to have two anchor lights. And if you're more than 100 meters or length, you have to use your other lights to illuminate your deck. But those lights that you also use to light up your vessel cannot interfere with your navigation lights. You have to be able to tell the difference between your nav lights and your other lights to help light up the boat.
So recap real quick, what are we looking at here?
So this vessel, they're anchored and they have two anchor lights on, which means that this vessel is greater than 50 meters in length. But then looking at this picture, they have other lights on. And that's required if it's a must if you're more than 100 meters in length. You must use other lights to illuminate your deck. But these other lights that you turn on to help light up the boat can't interfere with your other navigation lights or anchor lights. Because you have to be able to tell that this vessel's anchored, or if they're underway making way, you have to be able to see their side lights, masthead lights, stern light, and see the other lights that help light up the vessel. Any other questions?
so is that supposed to be a 360 white light on the front, 360
On the
anchor light
bow and
and
stern.
the stern? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, depending which side you're passing the vessel, that's why they have to have two. Because if you were passing them on their bow, then you would only see well, if you were passing them from the stern and they only had one on the bow, you might not be able to see that anchor light. It'd be completely dark. So a vessel aground, you're anchored not by choice. You're anchored. It's just not by choice. And you don't have an anchor out. So you do need your anchor lights on. But then what tells you that that vessel is aground and not at anchor? It's the two all-round red lights in a vertical line, which you would see on not under command, but a ground vessel, it's those same two all-round red lights in a vertical line plus your anchor lights. And then during the day, it would be three black balls in a vertical line that you're aground. And if you're anchored during the day, it would just be one black ball. Does anyone have any questions before I get into the sound signals? So inland rules versus international rules. So inland rules are signals of intention or execution.
You're asking permission on inland, and you're executing when you're on international.
Yeah, correct. So inland rules are signals of intention, which means you need permission from the other vessel. So that means there has to be an agreement signal when you're in inland waters. But when you're in international waters, the high seas, it's signals of execution. You do not need permission from the other vessel to make a maneuver. You make the appropriate sound signal and you just do your maneuver. So there's no agreement signal in international waters. So a whistle is any sound signaling an appliance capable of producing the prescribed blast. So now this is getting into like Morse code communication through sound and light. And there's a short blast we make on the whistle, and it has the duration of 1 second. Short blast. A prolonged blast has the duration from 4 to 6 seconds. This is important what I'm going to say right now, so I would write this down and star it. There is no such thing as a long blast. There will be questions on the practice test and even questions in the book. And a question could be, a 4 to 6 second duration on the whistle is what kind of a blast? They will say prolonged blast. They will say long blast. They could say short blast or none of the above. The answer is prolonged blast. There is no such thing as a long blast. Or, vice versa. They could give the answers long blast, short blast. None of, or, they would make something else up and say none of the above. So the answer would be none of the above because it's a prolonged blast. There is no such thing as a long blast, and that could be a trick question that you'll see in the book or a practice text, etc. Does anyone have any questions so far? So if your vessel is greater than 12 meters in length, you need a whistle and a bell. If you're greater than 100 meters in length, you need a whistle, bell, and a gong. And if you're less than 12 meters in length, you must have something that can make an efficient sound, like an air horn or, boats come with horns. If that's pretty loud enough, then that's good. So these are the requirements for these vessels. Greater than 12, less than 100, whistle and a bell. If you're greater than 100 meters in length, then you would need a whistle, bell, and a gong. And if you're less than 12, you just need some kind of sound appliance that can make a good sound. Is there such thing as a long blast? No. What's the duration of a prolonged blast? 4 to 6 seconds. What would be the duration of one short blast?
1 second.
Is there such thing as a quick blast? No, it's just short and prolonged. But those are ways you can get tricked. A quick blast, a long blast. There's no such thing. short, and prolong. This slide, this is the second time I've showed you this slide, and this is why. So these are required by power-driven vessels. So when you're in international rules of the road, it's when you're in sight of one another. So what does in sight mean? When you can only visually see one, but both can't see each other. And then in inland rules, it's when you're in sight of one another or you're less than a half mile in distance from each other. So meaning of the signals. So international rules are signals of what?
Execution.
Execution. You need permission. No, you don't need permission. I'm sorry. You don't need permission. That's why there's no agreement signal. Because you sound the appropriate sound signal and you just do it. So let's go just over all these and then we'll go the inland and then we'll look at the differences. So I am altering, so with these two, like I mentioned on Monday, you're making the same maneuver on the boat. It's just a different language. So for international rules, I am altering my course to starboard. I am turning my wheel to the right. I sound one short blast. If I'm turning my wheel to the left and I intend to leave them on my port side, I mean, port side, then it's two short blast. If you're altering your course to port, it's two short blast. If you turn your wheel to the left, it's two. If you turn your wheel to the right, it's one. I am operating in a stern propulsion. Three short blast. That means you're backing up. The danger signal is five short blast. The danger signal also means I don't understand your intentions. And it also means I disagree with your proposal. That's really for inland. So then we have a bend signal. So that's when you're going around a curve and your view is obstructed. You would have to sound one prolonged blast. And that's the example that I gave. If you were driving your car and you were taking a right on a side street and there was a large FedEx truck and you couldn't see what was coming on the other side of the truck, that would be a bend. You can't see the traffic that's coming on the other side. So that prolonged blast that you're doing is going to prevent a head-on collision. So when you're in international rules of the road, there's no underway signal. So if you're pulling forward from a dock or a slip, you don't sound any signal. You just go. But if you pulled into a slip in international waters forward and you had to reverse out from a slip, you would sound three short blasts. And that means you're operating in a stern propulsion. And there's no agreement signal because there's signals of execution. You don't need permission. You don't need the other vessel's agreement. The light signals are used to supplement whistle signals, substitute short or prolonged flashes for a blast. And they pretty much mimic each other. Like three flashes are a stern propulsion. So then we have the inland rules. So those are signals of intention. That means you need permission from the other vessel in order to make a maneuver. So I intend to leave you on my port side. That is still, you're still turning your wheel to the right. And that's one short blast. But if you intend to leave them on your starboard side, you're turning your wheel to the left and you're sounding two short blast. So looking at international rules and inland rules, one short blast, the wording's different because it says I intend, and I intend means I need permission. I'm asking you permission. But I'm altering, you're just telling them what you're doing and you do it. So that's the key word in this sentence. And those are key words in, multiple choice questions. Because with the rules of the road questions, the first thing you'll see is you'll say inland only, international only, or both. So if it's a international only question and one of the answers says I intend, sorry, and one of the international answers says I intend, cross that off because you don't need an agreement signal in international waters because it's signals of execution. So because they could give you these two options for an answer, but the right answer for international is I am altering, I'm changing. You're telling them what you're doing and you do it. But in inland waters, I have to ask you for permission. That's the main difference. It's the same maneuver with the boat. It's the same sound signal, but it's the language of how you're either asking them or you're telling them what you're doing. And that's the difference between international rules and inland rules. I am operating a stern propulsion. That's the same thing for international and inland. 3 short blast. The danger signal is the same thing for international and inland. It's 5 short blast. When you're going around a bend, it's the same sound signal for international and inland. It's 1 prolonged blast. Now so then out of this whole entire slide, there's only a few things that are different between the inland rules and international rules of the road. The first one is required to signal when an additional and inland when you're less than a half mile away from each other. That's one difference. The next difference is that in international rules of the road, there's no underway signal. And in inland rules, there is an underway signal, which is 1 prolonged blast, which has the duration of 4 to 6 seconds. And then the final difference in this whole PowerPoint slide is that for international rules, there's no agreement signal versus inland rules, signals of intention, I need permission. So there is an agreement because you need agreement from the other vessel in order to make a maneuver. So those are the differences. With all the wording that you see, those are the only few differences. The rest are the exact same. The maneuvers are the same. Is
Can you-
there?
The
Yeah,
second
go
one.
ahead.
So you said inland within sight less than half a mile. International signal, no reply needed. What was the other one? There was one before that. This was the
So
second one.
the second one,
Yeah.
no underway signal. So when you're in international rules, you don't have to sound a prolonged blast when you're leaving a dock. If you're pulling forward, if I'm pulling out of a dock, but I'm in a stern propulsion, I have to sound 3 short blast. So for instance, if I'm in inland waters, like in Marblehead or the Salem Ferry, that's a good example because we hear that all the time. And they always reverse. They always pull and bow in. So anytime the Salem Ferry leaves, they are sounding that 1 prolonged blast. That's letting you know that they're getting underway in inland waters. And then they sound 3 short blasts right after that because they're operating in reverse, which is a stern propulsion. And then the third difference is that in international rules, they don't have an agreement signal. They also don't have a underway signal either. No underway signal.
When
So
would you ever be pulling out of a dock in international waters?
that is a very good question. It's actually a good example. If you go to Baker's Island, there's docks there. There's multiple houses on that island. If you pulled, and that's over the Colorig's demarcation line. So you're in the high seas.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Huh.
That would be an example. Is there any other questions? I'm gonna go back to this again. We're gonna spend a lot of time on this. Is there any other questions with this one slide that I went over? So just to go over a few things that I just went over before I go on to more sounds. So there's a short blast and a prolonged blast. A short blast has the duration of what? How many seconds? 1 second. And a prolonged blast has the duration of how many seconds? 4 to 6. Is there such thing as a long blast? No. And there's no such thing as a quick blast. So if you're a power-driven vessel less than 12 meters in length, do you have to have a whistle? Or what do you have to have if you're less than 12 meters in length?
Something to make,
A efficient sound, yes. But if you're greater than 12 meters in length and less than 100 meters in length, you have to have 2 different sound signal appliances. What are those?
a whistle and a bell.
A whistle and a bell. And if you're greater than 100 meters in length, then you have to have a whistle, bell, and a gong. Inland are signals of what?
Intention.
Intention.
So what does that mean? Do you need permission? Do you need an agreement from the other vessel?
Yes.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
International rules are signals of execution. That's why there is no agreement signal, because you sound the appropriate sound signal and you make the maneuver. So now we're gonna get into overtaking. So you have international rules versus inland rules. So this is where you gotta stop and think. So it's kind of like, so when you see narrow channel, so I'm gonna go over this whole slide and then I'll get into what I was just gonna explain. Applies when 2 vessels are in sight of one another in a narrow channel or fairway. Inland rules, 2 vessels are in sight of one another. So this is when the rules of the road change. And this is when signals of execution change into signals of intention now. Because narrow channels, along with the pecking order, changes. The rules change. So when you're in a narrow channel, the pecking order changes. If you're a small vessel less than 20 meters in length, you're a sailing vessel or a fishing vessel, you can't impede the safe passage of another vessel that can only navigate safely in that narrow channel. So that changes. And then the other thing that changes with narrow channels is signals of execution turn into signals of intention. And that's why now you see an agreement signal. So the other thing with this previous slide, the agreement signal for inland is the same sound that the other vessel would make. Or you could establish radio contact to make a maneuver as well. But if you don't hear that same sound signal and you don't hear anything, you can't legally make the maneuver. Or they could sound 5 short blasts, the danger signal. That means they don't agree with your proposal. So when you see the words narrow channel, that's when the pecking order changes, like I mentioned. And now that's when international rules become signals of intention versus signals of execution. So now if you look at the language in this previous slide, international signals of execution, I'm altering, you're telling them what you're doing. Now it's I intend. Now you need permission. You need agreement from the other vessel in order to make this maneuver. So sound signals. I intend to overtake you on your starboard side. 2 prolonged blasts followed by 1 short blast. If you intend to overtake them on your port side, it's 2 prolonged blasts followed by 2 short blasts. And then the agreement signal would be 1 prolonged, 1 short, 1 prolonged, and 1 short. And then in inland rules, if you're in a narrow channel, I intend to overtake you on your starboard side, 1 short blast. I intend to overtake you on your port side, 2 short blast. So looking at this slide, right? I'm just gonna focus on this because it's signals of intention. I intend to overtake you on my port side as 1 short blast. I intend to leave you on my starboard side. It's 2 short blast. If we look at this, I intend to overtake you on your starboard side. That means you're cutting the wheel to the right because you're passing them on their starboard side. So it's 1 short blast, which is the same signal as this, 1 short blast. If you're altering your course if you intend to leave you on my port side, I'm overtaking them on their starboard side. Sorry. And I intend to overtake you on your port side. You would leave them you're cutting your wheel to the left. And you're passing them on their port, which you would leave them on your starboard. And when you cut the wheel to the left, you sound 2 short blast. So now that we're in a narrow channel and signals of execution change to signals of intention, it's only when you're in international waters, though, where you have to sound 2 prolonged blast and then add the 1 short blast if you're cutting your wheel to the right. Or if you're cutting the wheel to the left, you would, in a narrow channel in international waters only, you would sound 2 prolonged followed by 2 short. But in inland waters, it's the same as this. And then the agreement signal for inland is the same sound signal. So for international rules, the agreement signal is not the same because generally it's signals of execution, but now they changed to signals of intention. So between the 2 slides I just showed you, there's things in common, and there's only a couple differences. Does anyone have any questions with this slide? So I'm going to go over it again. So when you see the words narrow channel, that's when you have to like put your pencil down and think. Okay, narrow channel, the pecking order changes. And now signals of execution turn into signals of intention for international waters. So now there's an agreement signal. And if you're in international waters in a narrow channel or a fairway, and you intend to overtake them on their starboard side, meaning you cut your wheel to the right, you would sound 2 prolonged blast and the 1 short blast. And then vice versa. If you cut on the wheel to the left, you would sound 2 prolonged and 2 short. But then with inland rules, it's the same thing. It's just 1 short blast if you go into the right and 2 short if you go into the left. But the reason why you're adding 2 prolonged blasts in international rules is because this is a special rule. So that's why, in reality, you're adding 2 prolonged blasts in front of these 1 short and 2 short, because it's usually signals of execution, but now it's signals of intention. Any questions?
One quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
With the last slide, your intentions are when you're going to hear the two prolonged blasts, 1 short blast, and then because it's your intention, then you need to respond. The other boat needs to respond. So you're
The
going to hear that
stand-on vessel would have to, yeah, because in reality,
it's a communication again.
the boat in front of you would be the stand-on vessel,
Yeah.
and you're the giveaway. And you're asking them permission to make a maneuver, and they would have to agree with you in order to do it.
All right, by doing the
Again, in
same.
inland waters, in, signals of intention, if you're not in a narrow channel, then they make this, even in a narrow channel, or if you would still mimic the same exact sound. But
Okay.
in international waters, the agreement signal is one prolong, one short, one prolong, and one short.
Okay,
But like the key word here is narrow channel. And that's
Yeah.
when you got to think like the pecking order changes and signals of intention execution change for international.
okay. There we go.
That's the only time in international waters where you need permission, is if you're in a narrow channel or a fairway. So before I go on to another slide, and then we can take a break. We'll go over what I went over, and then we'll take a break because I know this is a lot. So just to go over some things. What's the duration of a quick blast?
There is none.
There is none. What's the duration of a long blast?
4 to 6.
There's not one.
There
There's,
is none.
there's none. It's short and prolonged. If you're less than 12 meters in length, what do you have to carry on your vessel to make a sound?
Just something that's
Nothing.
effective.
Yeah, something that can make an efficient sound. But if you're greater than 12 and less than 100, what do you have to carry?
A whistle and a bell.
A whistle and a bell. And then if you're greater than 100,
A gong.
what would you have to carry? Yeah, on top of a whistle and a bell. Inland are signals of what?
Agreement.
Intention. Yeah, you're right. And international are signals of what?
Execution.
Execution. So in international waters, I am altering my course to starboard and leaving them on my port side. What would I sound?
One short blast.
One short blast. When you cut the wheel to the right, you sound one short blast. But if I was gonna alter my course to port and leave them on my starboard in international waters, what would I sound?
Two short.
Two short blasts. When you cut the wheel to the right, it's one. When you cut to the wheel to the port left, it's two. In international waters, I'm going to operate in a stern propulsion. I'm going to reverse out of a slip. What would I have to sound?
3.
Three short blasts. Now, would I have to sound a prolonged blast in front of that? Is there underway signal in international waters?
No.
No. So I just sound three short blasts. But if I was just pulling forward out of a slip in international waters, do I sound anything?
No.
No. If
But what
I
if-
was going around, go
if-
ahead.
What if you're in international waters backing up in a narrow channel?
Ooh, good one.
It would be, yeah, yeah. I mean, that's
Ah.
honestly a really good question. I would do one prolong followed by three short.
Yeah.
That's
Don't ask me what kind of chart.
a
that
really
would
good
look like.
question. That's a really
Right?
good question. No one's ever asked me that before. That was good.
I mean, you err on the side of caution then, right?
Yeah. If you're going around, what's the danger signal?
Five short blasts.
5 short blast. And if I'm going around a bend where my view is obstructed, what sound signal would I make?
One prolonged.
One prolonged blast. In international waters, is there an agreement signal?
Oh,
No. Why? Because you don't need permission. You don't need agreement from the other vessel. You make the sound signal and you do it. So if you're in inland waters, signals of intention, what's the key word in the sentence in the answer that you would see? Is it I'm altering or I intend?
I intend.
consent.
I intend because I need permission. So that means, is there an agreement signal for inland waters?
Yes.
Yes. So if I intend to leave you on my port side, if I intend to leave you on my left, that means I'm cutting my wheel to the right. Which means what sound signal would I make?
Too short.
If I'm cutting the wheel to the right and leaving them on my port side and
One
overtake
short?
them on their starboard side, I'm cutting my wheel to the right. So that means I would sound one short blast. But if I intend to leave them on my starboard side, which means I'm cutting the wheel to the left and leaving them on my right, I would sound two short blasts because I'm cutting the wheel to the left. That's when you would sound two. So then astern propulsion, how many short blasts is that for inland?
3.
It's 3. It's the same thing. 5. What's the danger signal?
5.
5 short blast. Going around a bend where the view's obstructed.
1.
One prolonged?
1 prolong. And there's an agreement signal. What is the agreement signal in inland waters? If you're not so
Give them
what
a
would it be?
reply.
They would mimic the same sound signal. But if they didn't say anything, could you just do it or no?
No.
No. Now you can also establish radio contact and arrange for passage as well. So now we got into narrow channels. So this is when international rules change from signals of execution to signals of intention. And I intend to overtake you on your starboard side, meaning you're cutting your wheel to the right and you're leaving them, they're going to be off your port side, but you're overtaking them on their starboard side, which means you're cutting the wheel to the right. And you would sound now, but since we're in international rules, and now it's signals of intention, you sound 2 prolonged blast, followed by 1 short blast. And then if you're cutting the wheel to the left, then it's 2 prolonged followed by 2 short. And then the agreement signal is 1 prolonged, 1 short, 1 prolonged, and 1 short. But then if you're in inland rules, it's the same thing, what we just went over. If you're cutting the wheel to the right and you're leaving them on your left port and if you're in the other vessel, we would be on their starboard. That means we cut the wheel to the right. It's 1 short blast. And vice versa. If we cut the wheel to the left port, we sound 2 short blast. And the agreement signal is the same thing as the overtaking vessel. Does anyone have any questions what we just went over? All right, let's take like a 10-15 minute break. And then we'll get into more sounds and we'll really go over what we've been going over with all this stuff. So let's take like a 10-minute break or so.
good.
I'll just wait for everyone to get back. Go ahead.
Being a teacher. How well did I teach? That's.
Right, yeah. I didn't have a good experience the first time around, though,
Oh, yes.
with the other guy, not this guy, but the other guy. Yeah.
Michelle, how are you doing so far?
Oh, yeah. Hi, I'm good. I'm good. Can
Good.
you hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. Sorry, you probably just heard me talking to my husband too, huh?
You're good.
Okay. I didn't have such a good experience the first time around with that 7-day class. That's all I was saying.
Nice. So with sound, so now restricted visibility, you know, fog, rain, especially fog, like when you can't see anything and you're really just going off of your radar and still looking around. This is where I personally will really, I do this a lot, and I don't even know, let it exceed 2 minutes. I do it as frequently as I feel like. But it's required that you do in restricted visibility. They can't exceed 2 minutes, so you have to do it every 2 minutes. So a vessel part of a composite unit pushing ahead, underway, and making way. You're making way through the water. Now, a composite unit pushing ahead, yes, that's considered a type of tow, but it's treated as a power-driven vessel in the rules of the road. So you would have to sound one prolonged blast that cannot exceed 2 minutes. You could do it every minute if you want, but you can't let it exceed every 2 minutes. You have to do it at least one prolonged blast within that period. So, in inland waters too, if you're like, what does one prolonged blast also mean? It could mean a couple different other things as well. It could mean you going around a bend. It could mean that you're getting underway, pulling forward from a dock in inland waters. But it also means that it's a power-driven vessel that's making way through the water in restricted visibility. If you're a power-driven vessel underway, not making way, whether you're just drifting, you're drifting with the engines off or on, but you're not in gear, you sound two prolonged blast that cannot exceed 2 minutes. So if you were driving in fog and you heard two prolonged blasts off of your port or starboard quarter behind you, you maintain course and speed because that vessel is dead in the water. It's no risk of collision. Anytime, especially in fog, that you hear a signal forward of your beam, you reduce your speed of bear steerage way. So the third one is vessel not. So this is pretty much the whole pecking order at right of ways. Vessel not under command, restricted inability to maneuver, sealing, fishing, not constrained by draft. And now we're adding and towing. So towing and being towed are two different things. Towing is like the sea tow boat US vessel providing the service. And then being towed is what that towing boat is actually pulling. And they would have to sound one prolonged blast followed by two short blasts up to 2 minutes. They have to do it at least every 2 minutes. And that's known as like the lame ducks. It's the whole pecking order of right of ways, besides power driven. New reels catch fish, and then they add towing. And it's one prolonged blast followed by two short blasts. So then the fourth one is a manned vessel being towed. So this towing and being towed are two different things. So what you have to really make sure you pay attention to is it ing or ed? Because being towed is one thing, towing another vessel is another thing. So if you're towing, it's one prolong followed by two short blast. But if it's a manned vessel being towed, this is only like, let's just say you're out at sea and your boat breaks down or whatever, and you have to call boat US or sea tow to give you a tow in, and then it's restricted visibility. The sea tow vessel or boat US vessel would sound one prolonged blast followed by two short blasts. And immediately after they sound that sound signal, if you're on your boat being towed, then you would have to sound one prolonged blast followed by three short blasts immediately after the one prolonged followed by two short blasts. So towing and being towed are two different things. So that's what you want to pay close attention to if they ask you a question regarding towing or being towed. Any questions so far?
It doesn't matter if they're towing you from however they're towing you, whether it's a hip tow or a front
No.
tow or, okay.
No,
Is
it's
this
just towing.
Is this inland and high seas?
This is both,
Both, okay.
just in restricted visibility. So I'll go over it again. Power-driven vessel, underway, not underway, making way, one prolonged blast. If you're a power-driven vessel and you're underway, not making way, dead in the water, stationary in the water, two prolonged blast. If you're the pecking order, just not power-driven, new reels catch fish, so one prolonged followed by two short blasts, but they add towing to that. And then a manned vessel being towed is one prolonged followed by three short blast. If I was in inland waters and I heard, if I just heard one prolonged blast, if I was in Salem Harbor and I heard in fog, or regardless if you're in fog or not, but I heard one prolonged blast followed by three short blasts, what does that tell me?
Something is being towed?
No, I was asking a question. So no, so this is only in restricted visibility. So let's just say you're in a harbor in inland waters. This is a question on the other side that I was just bringing up, just giving another example of where you would hear this one prolong followed by three short,
It's
and
a
just
ship
explain the
backing up.
difference of it. Yeah, so if you're getting underway and you're operating in a stern propulsion, it's one prolong followed by three short. But because that is in reality the same sound. But what's different about this, it has to be immediately after the one prolong followed by two short blast. So that's how you would be able to tell the difference. Because like if I heard one prolong followed by three short, that's a vessel getting underway operating in a stern propulsion. But then if I heard one prolong followed by two short, and then right after they sound that signal, one prolong followed by three short, that's a towing vessel engaged in a towing operation, and it's towing a vessel with passengers on it. So then this is the last slide of sound signals. So in restricted visibility, this is at anchor, aground, and a pilot vessel at anchor. So a vessel at anchor, well, that's just a pilot vessel in general, just engaged in their occupation. So a vessel at anchor, it can't exceed, so the difference between, so it's restricted visibility, but it's being anchored or aground, or specifically, like it's different than just making way or not making way. So a vessel at anchor would be the rapid ringing of the ship's bell for 5 seconds. Now that tells me that vessel is greater than 12 meters in length, but less than 100. Because then you get a vessel at anchor that's greater than 100 meters in length. It's the rapping of the ship's bell for 5 seconds, followed by the 5 seconds rapid ringing of the gong. A vessel at anchor, warning signal to approaching vessel if danger of collision exists. It's optional, but it's one short, one prolong, and one short. That's warning another vessel that might be getting too close to you while you're at anchor in restricted visibility. One short, one prolong, and one short. A vessel aground. So, like I mentioned, a vessel aground is anchored not by choice, but they have the same characteristics as an anchored vessel. So, like for instance, like the lights, like an aground vessel would have to show an anchor light, and then they would show the two all around red lights in a vertical line. But what tells you that vessel is aground and not anchored? The lights would be the two all around red lights in a vertical line. Those extra lights would tell you that, yeah, they're technically anchored, but they're actually aground. So then then that's the lights. But what's the sound signals that they would have to make in restricted visibility? So it's the same as being anchored, just like the anchor lights. It's the same sound signal as being anchored, which is the rapid ringing of a ship's bell for 5 seconds. But then they would have to add 3 distant strokes of the bell before and after the rapid ringing of the bell. So that's the difference. So the strokes let you know, like, so like the same signal is anchored. So it's the 5 rep. So it would be like, that will let you know that they're aground. So they add the 5 rapid ringings of the ship's bell for 5 seconds, which that's not just 5 like knocks, that's ringing it rapidly for 5 seconds. But it's 3 strokes of the bell, and then you rapid ring the bell for the gong for 5 seconds, depending on your length. You would just do the bell, and then 3 strokes of the bell or the gong, depending on the size of the vessel. So then if you're less than 12 meters in length, you just need an efficient sound signal to make a appropriate sound. And then a pilot vessel, like I mentioned before, it's for short blast in restricted visibility. Is there any questions? I know this is a lot of information at first, but my best recommendation with the sounds is just focus on one slide at a time. First one, just focus on this one. Then once you're really comfortable with it, work on this one. Then once you're really comfortable on it, go to this one, and then go to this one. Is there any questions? So signals to attract attention. Any vessel to attract the attention of another vessel may make a lead or sound signal, but it can't be mistaken for any signal in the rules with meaning for any navigation aid. A signal light flashing Morse code alpha, short, long, is often used. One short, one prolong. So these are all different examples of the stress signals that you can use. I would definitely start a gun fired at intervals of 1 minute. But these are all different distress signals, which we learned about Mayday. That's, life or death, sinking vessel. That's when you would call a Mayday. Foghorn, gun fired at intervals of 1 minute. That's what I would star. Those are just all the examples that you can do it for a distress signal. So I'll take a break with sounds and then I'll go back to them and just go over, ask you guys some questions with them and whatnot. So now I'm going to show you lights, and it's not going to say what kind of vessel it is, but you guys are going to try to tell me what it is, and then we'll see how you guys do. But you guys can all participate and ask. So, what is this? Red over white.
Fishing at night.
Yeah, it's a fishing vessel that's not engaged in trawling. Because a trawling would show what?
Green over white.
And it's not underway,
It's underway, it's just not making way.
not making way. That's what I meant.
Yep, no, I know. But right, because if it was making way through the water, you would have to also see side lights, masthead light, etc. Next one. It's red over white fishing at night. But the top, is that, what direction is that going in?
Away from you?
Yep, that's the stern light. And the bottom one, that would be if it was coming off of your starboard. You would see their port side light. What's this vessel display? What kind of vessel is this?
Towboat.
No. Close. But it has,
Got two mast headlights.
yeah, how many?
I see two mast headlights. It's coming
Right.
straight at me. If I look at the top one, so it's over 50 meters.
Yeah, that's right. On the fore and aft centerline of the vessel, and the one aft is higher than the one on the front. So that's right. It's a power-driven vessel that's greater than 50. What about this one?
It's a power-driven vessel that's less than 50.
Yep.
And in the top, it's coming at you. In the middle, it's going passing you on from left to right.
Yeah,
And
yep,
bottom is going away from you.
yep. Yeah. That would be, if they're coming off of your starboard, you would see their port side of the vessel, and port one is red. So that's their red side light.
So from right to left.
Right.
I think I said that backwards.
That's okay. I know what you meant. So what does this show us? What kind of vessel is it? And how big is it? So the top one might be a little trickier, but what does the bottom show us? The middle one and
It's
the bottom.
it's
What's green over white mean?
It's a trawler.
trawler at night.
And so
It's got
when
two.
when you have a trawler, so it is green over white, but when they're over than 15 meters, they don't have to add two more additional masthead lights. This acts as a masthead light, but it's not. So that's why they have this one in the aft. And those are the answers. Fishing, power driven, and trawling over 50. Any questions regarding these diagrams? Let me know when you guys are good to go on the next slide. Good. Now we're going to do another one. So looking at this diagram, What does the bottom tell us? What kind of vessel is this?
Towboat.
You see yellow over white. So it's a towing light over a stern light. What kind of tow is that?
Hauser.
And how many mast headlights do you see?
2
So what's the length of the tow?
over 50.
Short toe.
It could be, but the main answer is it's less than 200 because if it was greater than 200, you would see 3 mast headlights in a vertical line.
Got it.
Green over white. What is that?
Fishing at night.
Trawling.
It's trawling. It is a type of fishing, but they break fishing and trawling into 2 separate categories. So fishing would be red over white. Trawling is green over white. What's that?
Minefield,
Minesweeping.
Minesweeper. Yep. What's that?
international only.
Yep.
Depth,
Constrained by draft.
string by
Yes.
draft.
International only. And constrained by draft is only power driven vessels only as well. It's only power driven. Those are the answers. What's that?
A small powerboat.
Close.
I want to say a sailboat. I was
It's a
thinking
sailing vessel.
it has a stern light, maybe.
The reason why is if it was a power driven and you're less than 12 meters in length, they would still have to have an all-round white light.
Oh, you know what? I was combining the lights.
So this is if it was coming right at you, this is going away from you.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Red over red, what does that mean?
Captain's dead.
Not under command.
Yep. What's that mean? Now,
It's a ram,
yes,
and
and one
one
side,
green side
It's-
is the only side you can pass on.
correct. Green means go, red means stop. So red is the side that they're working on, the obstruction. Green is the safe side to pass. What's that?
I have no clue.
Towing.
Air cushion vessel operating in non-displacement mode.
Jesus.
White over red, what does that mean?
Pilot? Was it the pilot
Yes.
boat?
Correct. So the first one's sailing, not under command. Ram, air cushion vessel, power driven. It is a pilot because, wait a minute. No, wait a minute. No, I made a mistake. That's if it's a power driven vessel pushing ahead, towing alongside. No, I got that one wrong. Okay, sorry. Yeah, that is that, yeah. So that's international only. Because if this was inland, you would have to see it would be yellow over yellow. So that's a stern light. This one's tricky. This one's a stern light, and then you have the
Yeah, what's that other white light? You have 3 white lights on there. I don't know what
I
the,
know.
trying to figure that out. I see the red. Let's see. Oh,
I'll get back to you guys on that. It's throwing me off for a minute. Well, it's a towing, so it's the two mast headlights in a vertical line. It's greater than 50.
So is it
So,
trying to
so then
say
they
that
add,
there's
so then they add another mast headlight
other
on the
mass?
back. So one of these masts,
Yeah.
yeah, so that's why it's greater than 50. So then they throw an extra mast headlight on the aft above. It would be above the stern light. So that's kind of I mean, that just threw me off for a second too. So, but there's no diagrams on the test. So you don't have to stress about like just looking at a diagram and trying to figure it out exactly what it is. What's that?
It's a ram situation at the bottom, red, white, red.
Yep. And how big is it?
Over 50 meters.
Yep. What's that? Take your time with this one. Just red over red. And then you also see two all around white lights. What does that tell me?
Over 50 meters.
Right, that's one thing.
It's run aground.
Yes, that's right. It's a ground vessel over 50. White over red. What does that mean?
Yeah, I thought, what's that? I thought a ground vessel was 3 red in a row. No? Did I get that wrong?
Is that a pilot?
Yes. Yeah, white over red is a pilot. This one's red over red, but then they have the anchor lights. So that's in a ground vessel. They're anchored not by choice, so they have the same anchor characteristics. But then what tells you that they're anchored and not aground is the two all around red lights on the vertical line as well. If they didn't have these white lights, it would be not under command. Underway, not making way. But then aground, they add the two all around red lights on the vertical line, and then they add the anchor lights. So that tells you that they're aground. So this is these lights are a combination of not under command and anchored. So aground is a combination of not under command lights and anchor lights. Because you're anchored not by choice. But you're pretty I mean in theory you're really not under command either because you're aground, you can't go anywhere. But you're anchored. Just not by choice. So what's this one? Red over white.
Fishing?
Fishing. Yeah. What about this one?
Pause or
So-
tow over 200 meters.
Yeah.
Right, because you see the three mast headlights in the vertical line.
Yep.
Yeah. Those are the answers. And you guys got those right. So you know them more what you know. What you think you know exactly. So day shapes. What is that? Think of the lights. What kind of vessel you would see those lights in that arrangement?
Is that
The
the
minesweep.
sweeper?
Yes. Yep. A minesweeper.
How common are those?
What was that?
How common are those?
Not common.
Have you ever seen one?
No.
Okay.
You haven't seen one of those in Salem Harbor?
Not
No,
yet.
I'm joking. I'm
I'll let you
joking.
know.
Yeah.
Take a picture of it. What does that mean?
Sailing?
Fishing.
It's fishing or trawling.
It's one triangle for sailing.
Right. It's okay.
Cool. One with the basket is less than 20, I think, right?
Yeah.
Top one's fishing. Oh,
Constrained
that
by
one.
draft.
constrained by
Draft beer
draft.
can. Yep. International only. Balls, balls, balls. What does that mean?
You run aground?
Yep.
Yep.
So you guys got those all right? That's good. What's that? Black diamond. Where would you see that?
Toe.
Yeah,
A
Over,
hawser toe over what?
over 200 on both. parts.
Yes. Yep. Where would you see that, Laurie?
Laurie, come on.
Sailing.
Yep. Over how many
On a
meters or more?
sailboat that's under power. Over
Yes.
20,
12.
over 12 meters.
It's okay. So this is why this is good, because it's really dialing down to what you know and what you got the areas you got to concentrate on. This is good.
Laurie, I had to break it down to feet. I did,
Yeah.
because if you
I
say
mean-
36, because I know your boat is less than 36 and you don't have one of those. That's how I remember it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
I don't-
Actually, that makes total sense. Thank you. I will never forget that now.
Yeah, meters are a little weird because no one ever says it. Just the rules of the road. It's all in like meters.
That makes complete sense.
What would that be?
The captain in the grave,
Oh, right.
Yeah, red over red. Captain is dead. Put 2 balls in his grave.
not under command.
Yep. What's that?
Now you're just messing with us. I have
No.
no idea.
Isn't it a
Okay,
ram?
yeah, so the way to look at this is what's the middle?
Ram.
Yeah, and then what does the diamonds mean?
It's safe to pass.
Yeah, so it's a ram vessel, and everyone wants diamonds. They're worth a lot of money, right? You don't want balls. So you aim for the diamonds and you avoid the balls. So it's a ram vessel, and the side that is safe to pass is the diamonds, and the side the obstruction on is the balls. At night, the diamonds would be green, 2 all around green lights in a vertical line, and the side the obstruction on is red. Green means go, red means stop. Aim for the diamonds, avoid the balls.
Got it.
And then that's what we just saw. Just,
Ram.
yeah. So that's good. You guys got those right. So you guys are doing really good with this. So it's 7:35. Do you want me to go over the last PowerPoint slide? It's not long for the rules of the road, and all the rules of the road are covered. Or do you want me to really go over the sounds and whatnot again? What do you guys think?
Sounds.
Sounds? How about everyone else? Are you guys okay with that?
Yeah, I'm gonna spend some time on sounds. That's between now and next class. So yeah, I'd rather do sounds.
Okay, I just wanna. All right. So before I even I'm gonna go over the sounds again, but I also want to ask you guys questions before I show you stuff to just try to pick your memories and whatnot. So, what's the duration of a quick blast?
No such thing.
Yep. What about a long blast?
Nope.
No. What's the duration of a prolonged blast?
4 to 6
Four.
seconds.
What about a short blast?
1 second.
Yep. So you got a whistle, bell, and a gong. Vessels less than 12 meters in length. What do they need to have aboard?
Just something to make a sound.
Yes. But if they're greater than 12 meters in length and less than 100 meters in length, what do they have to have on the boat?
A whistle and a bell.
Yes. But what happens if they're greater than 100 meters in length, which is more than 300 feet?
All of it plus a bell, a gong.
Yes. Inland rules are signals of execution. Is that right?
No.
No, that's good. They're signals of what?
Intention.
Intention. And international rules are signals of execution. But when do international rules change to signals of intention? When you're in what?
Narrow channel.
Or a fairway. And in international rules, it's required. So maneuvering signals are required for power-driven vessels when they're in sight of one another. What does in sight mean?
Half
When you
mile.
can see them without electronics.
That is right, but it's one can visually see the other, but like I can see you, but you can't see me. So then it's required within one side of one another, but then inland rules is when they're in sight of one another or they are less than a 1/2 mile in distance.
Why do they make that distinction?
Because international, like there's a lot less boat traffic, I would say. Like especially like, offshore, there's a lot less boat traffic. And then when you're in inland waters, especially on the weekend, there's so much boat traffic. So that's why it's a little different.
And what's
That's
a
my
fairway?
best answer. That's my opinion. What was that?
What's a fairway? I don't even know what that is. A fairway.
It's pretty much like if you pull into like a marina and slips,
Yeah.
and it's like tight in proximity, and you can't really, and then you kind of have to spin the boat to turn around and head back out. That's kind of like a fairway.
Okay.
Like a good example of a fairway would be like pulling into like Pickering Wharf and like going to eat at like Longboards. That's kind of like a fairway. So then there's all these different signals. So if it says I am altering my course, is that international or inland? What's the key word in that sentence I just said?
Alter.
Yeah, and is that asking them or telling them what I'm gonna do?
Helen.
Helen.
Yeah, it's telling them what I'm gonna do when I do it. But if it says I intend to leave you on my port or starboard side, what's the key word in that sentence?
Intend.
Intend. And is that asking them or telling them?
Asking.
Asking because you need agreement. You need permission in order to do this. So if I am altering my course to starboard, meaning I'm turning the boat to the right,
One short
what
blast.
sound would I signal?
One short.
One short blast. And if I intend to leave you on my left, my port, I'm still cutting my wheel to the right. What would that sound signal be in inland waters?
Too short.
It's one, because I'm still turning the wheel to the right. It's just saying the international says I am altering my course to the right. Inland says I intend to leave you on my left side and alter my course and change my course to the right. So the way to think about it is think about like, I'm just going to break this down wicked easy. Picture yourself driving a boat. And when you read the sentence and it says, I want to leave you on my port, which is my left, which way are you turning the boat to leave them on your left side? You're steering the wheel to the right. So anytime you're steering the wheel to the right, it's one short blast. But if I'm steering the wheel to the left, which is port, It's two short blast. And the main difference, I'm gonna bring this up because and the main difference is that, so like I mentioned, the maneuver with the boat is the same. You're steering the wheel to the right. It's just you're telling them in international, you're telling them that you're going to the right. And in this one, you're asking them if you can cut the wheel to the right to go around them. It's one short. This one, you're telling them you're driving around them and you're cutting the wheel to the left. It's too short. This one, you're asking them if you can turn your wheel to the left to go around them and leave them on your starboard. It's too short. So then I'll get back to that again. I want to ask more questions. So with operating in a stern propulsion,
3.
what would you sound? 3 short blast. And the danger signal is how many short blast?
5.
5. If I'm going around a bend, and the view is obstructed, what would I sound?
Prolonged.
One prolonged.
One prolonged blast. There's no such thing as a long blast. In international waters, is there underway signal?
No.
No. In inland waters, is there underway signal? Yes. And what would that underway signal be?
Honk back.
What was that?
A honk back or whatever.
Underway. So you're thinking of the agreement signal? Underway signal for inland waters is one prolonged blast.
Oh, one prolonged.
So with international rules of the road, is there an agreement signal?
No.
No, because it's signals of execution. You let them know what you're doing and you just do it. So there's no agreement signal. But is there an agreement signal for inland waters, signals of intention? Yes. And what would you sound in agreement? If you agreed with that vessel for their maneuver, if they sounded one short blast, what would you sound in agreement?
1 short.
One short. If they sounded two, what would you sound?
2.
Two. You mimic the same sound. If you disagreed with the other vessel's proposal, or you didn't understand their intentions,
5.
what sound signal would you use?
5.
5
Danger.
short blast. Yep. And the light signals, they pretty much mimic the sound signals. Like 3 flashes is a stern propulsion, etc. 5 flashes, danger. So then we got into, so then when does international rules change to signals of intention when you're in what?
In
Narrow channel.
narrow channel.
Or fairway.
Narrow channel or a fairway. And
What's the definition of a fairway again?
Longboards.
it's, yeah, like pretty much if you're going on a Pickering Wharf and like you can go in there, but you gotta turn around and go back out. That's pretty much like a fairway.
Because it's like a dead end?
Pretty much. So when you're in international rules, you're in a narrow channel or a fairway. That's when the nautical rules change from signals of execution to signals of intention. Now you need agreement from another vessel. And now there's an agreement signal. So if you intend to overtake them on your starboard side, what would you sound?
2 prolonged.
2 prolonged followed by how many short?
One.
One short.
Right, because you're overtaking them on their starboard. So that means you would leave them on your left, your port, and you would sound 1 short blast after the 2 prolonged blast. And then vice versa. I intend to overtake you on your left port side. That means I'm cutting the wheel to the left and I'm leaving them on my starboard side, which is the right. So then what would I sound?
Too short blasts.
One
Two
short.
prolonged blast
Followed
Wait,
by two
why are we-
short.
followed by two short.
Why are we adding the prolonged?
Because in
Yeah.
international rules, it's now signals of intention. So that's why it's a special rule. So that's why they make it a little different from inland. In international waters where it's signals of execution, now they have to, it's similar sounds, but they have to change it a little bit because now you're in a narrow channel or a fairway, and now it's a different sound. Now it's a different
Oh, this is,
signal of not execution, it's intention. So now you're adding two prolonged blasts, and then it's the additional one short or two short if you go on a starboard or a port.
okay.
So then, if that vessel agrees with you, what would they sound in agreement? If you're in
Short.
international waters and you're in a narrow channel or a fairway, you sound
C.
two prolonged, one short, or two prolonged and two short. The
C.
agreement signal for either or is the same, and it's four sounds in total. What would they sound?
More C.
Morse code C, right? But what is the four sounds that you would hear in order?
One short, one prolonged.
Close. It's try it again.
One prolonged, one short. One prolonged, one short.
Yes. Yes. It's one prolonged, one short, one prolonged, and one short. That's the agreement signal. Now, if you're in inland rules, it's when two vessels are inside of another, and I intend to overtake you on your starboard. What would you sound?
One prolonged, one short.
Just one short blast.
One short. Okay.
So the way to look at it,
Because it's
the
in,
way to look at it, regardless in inland waters, regardless of if you're in a narrow channel, fairway, or wherever, if you're going around someone and you're going to the right, it's one short blast. If you're going to the left, it's two short blasts. No matter where you are in inland waters. International waters, that's where it changes because the signals of intention execution change. But inland rules are always signals of intention no matter where you are. So that's why all of those sound signals stay the same, because no matter where you are, it's the same. It's intention. But international rules, if you're in inland waters, but you're in a narrow channel or a fairway, now it changes from signals of execution to signals of intention. And now on top of the one short, two short, they had to change it a little bit. So they added two prolonged blast in front of those one short or two short. And I'm going to share my screen again to show you guys that. So I want you to look at this slide. I want you to look at this slide. So inland rules, one short, two short.
yeah, that one I've got.
I go here, it's the same thing. One short, two short. But here, this is signals of execution. And now this is signals of intention. So now they're adding two prolonged blasts on top of the one and two short. Because no matter where you go in inland waters, it's signals of intention. But if you're not in a narrow channel or a fairway, it's signals of execution. And that's where it would just be one and two short. But now you're in a narrow channel or a fairway. Now you have, and now the signals of execution change to signals of intention. So now they have to change the rules a little bit. But they're not going to make it, too complicated. They're just adding two prolonged blasts in front of each one, whether you're going to port or starboard. So like if I took away this, if I cross these two out, these would be the same on each slide.
Yeah, exactly. Literally the only thing that's different is that international because of of the specific location.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you're in a narrow channel or a fairway, that's the only time it changes to intention. And you're in like the question you mentioned before, which is a really good question. Like, yeah, I would sound one prolonged blast followed by three short or one prolong because now it's signals of intention. So you're right. The sound signals change. And then the agreement for inland, no matter where you are, you would mimic the same exact sound.
Yeah.
So now this is when that's kind of how I see when it's white, but applies when you're near or in an area of restricted visibility, whether by day or by night. So a power-driven vessel. So a composite unit pushing ahead is also known as a power-driven vessel. So the first two line items that you see, it's a power-driven vessel, but the first one's underway, making way, and then the second one's underway but not making way. So when you're underway making way, you sound one prolonged blast. And how long is that duration for? How many seconds? Four to
Was it
six.
4 to 6?
Yep. But then if you're dead in the water, stationary in the water, not making way, it's two prolonged blasts. And the interval not to exceed 2 minutes. So if I was driving in fog and I heard two prolonged blasts behind me, what would you do?
Just continue.
Continue.
Yeah.
You continue because there's no threat. They're not making way in the water. But if you heard one prolonged blast, then that'd be, that would be a little concerning because they're making way through the water. So then the next one is vessel. This is the whole pecking order, but we already covered power driven. They get treated separately. But then the whole pecking order gets treated as one team, pretty much. But they're adding towing, and this doesn't include a seaplane. Because in reality, like a seaplane would be power driven when it's in the water. So that's why. So if you're a vessel not under command, restricted inability to maneuver, sailing, fishing, towing, or constrained by draft, it's one prolonged blast followed by two short blasts. That's like known as the lame ducks. And then, so like I mentioned before, towing and being towed are two different things. And, the mistakes I've seen people, I'll always check the wrong answers people make. And I see what they circled. And then I read the question. And I've seen this in the past where people read this as towed or vice versa. So what you really got to pay very close attention to is what are they asking you? Is it towing or being towed? It's two different things. This is Boat US. This is Sea Tow. This is me and you that we broke down and they're towing us in and we're still on our vessel. That's the difference. And if it's a manned vessel being towed, immediately after the one prolong followed by two short, you would sound one prolong followed by three short blasts immediately after. Any questions with this? We have one more slide to go over what sounds. So now this is applies when in near or an area of restricted visibility, whether by day or night. But this is whether you're anchored or aground, etc. So a vessel and anchor. So it changes, the intervals change from 1 minute to 2 minutes. So that's one difference. Unless you're a vessel less than 12 meters in length, it's the same. So a vessel and anchor, You would have to, so this is greater than 12, but less than 100. Rapid ringing of a ship's bell for 5 seconds. A vessel greater than 100 meters in length at anchor would do the rapid ringing of a ship's bell for 5 seconds, followed by 5 seconds of the rapid ringing of the gong. That's a massive ship. That's huge. So if we were on a boat and it was fog and on your radar you saw a vessel getting closer and closer to you and it was a constant bearing decreasing range and you were anchored, you would sound one short, one prolong, and one short. That's a vessel at anchor warning another vessel that's approaching that might be getting too close. If danger of collision exists, if the constant bearing decreasing range. One short, one prolong, and one short. A vessel aground has the same characteristics as an anchored vessel because like you are technically anchored, but not by choice. You're just not using anchor. You ran your boat into a sandbar or mud, whoever knows, right? A rock. And anchored not by choice means you have to have the same characteristics as an anchored vessel. So it would still be the 5 rapid rings of the ship's bell, but before and after that, it would be 3 strokes of the bell, followed by 5 seconds of rapid ringing of the bell, followed by additional 3 strokes of the bell. Less than 12 meters in length, just make some efficient sound signal. And a pilot vessel is 4 short blast. So I'm gonna ask you guys just some questions, what I just went over, and then we'll call it. Just over the last couple slides, just to see. If I was in a narrow channel or a fairway and I heard one prolong, one short, one prolong, and one short, is that an international rule or inland rule? And what is that?
An agreement,
Yeah,
narrow channel.
that's right. Agreement signal, narrow channel, or fairway international. If I heard 2 prolonged blasts, so if I was in a narrow channel or a fairway, and I heard 2 prolonged blasts followed by 2 short blasts, what does that mean?
Oh,
Is that international or inland?
international.
All right, so that's the first thing we got to figure out. Is this an international rule or an inland rule?
Uh,
And then,
Turning to port.
yes. So in restricted visibility, near it and it at night. If I'm driving and I heard one prolonged blast, what does that tell me? What kind of vessel is it? And are they making way or are they not making way?
Over 100 meters.
No, it's okay. So if they just sound one prolonged blast and the intervals can't exceed 2 minutes, and I'm in fog, and I hear one prolonged blast, what does that mean?
When I
What kind
think
of vessel is it?
when I think of one prolonged blast, I think about coming around a bend.
I know there's multiple things it can mean. So it's a power-driven vessel making way through the water.
Okay.
So that is a good point, right? Like some of these sound signals that we already learned about, they mean multiple different things. So if I heard 2 prolonged blasts in fog, what kind of vessel is that?
Sailboat.
No. I know we just started going over these sounds, so I don't want to burn you guys out too much. So if I heard 2 prolonged blasts, the only vessel that will make that sound is a power-driven vessel underway, not making way. What's one prolonged blast followed by 2 short blasts? What vessels would sound that?
Sailboat. Maybe not. Is it? That one's a
Yeah, what it's the whole pecking order. Besides, it doesn't include power driven because we just covered that. And then they add towing. So this towing and this being towed,
yeah.
but it's a man vessel being towed because if there wasn't people on it, then there would be no sound signal. But if there's passengers on the vessel that you're towing, they would have to sound one prolong followed by three short blasts immediately after the one prolong followed by two short blasts. The sound signals are new. So like you guys are doing really good. I would say like, I would say before, because I'm gonna send you guys a practice test. I would like definitely this weekend, like study the sounds
What's the
and
best
any areas that
strategy? What's the
you know,
best strategy for like,
sounds.
no, for like taking this exam? Like, you got to do it when this is fresh in your mind.
Right. And like the thing is, so you doing the practice test, those are old. So the practice test that I give you, I mean, I'm not 100% about so the first one I give you is like 30 questions, but then the additional two that I give you are old real exams that Greg gave. So that kind of gets you, and like the best recommendation is there's hundreds of questions in the book.
Yeah.
Like once you study the rules, start doing all the questions in the book because that's going to get you like seeing like how they word the questions and ask them. You study the questions in the book, you do the practice test, you read through the PowerPoints, you study, you'll be fine. That's the best way to study because then it gets you in the habit of answering questions. So like, for instance, like with what we just really learned with signals of intention execution, like, if it says inland only, it's signals of intention. So if an answer says I'm changing or I'm altering, cross that one off because you need permission. You need an agreement. So it is so like from one of the first, when we just started teaching this, I said the more of our senses that we use, the easier it is to help maintain and learn this big bulk of information. So like writing the sounds down on paper and reading it out loud and listening to the Zoom meeting and whatnot, that's going to help you out a lot. And what we got to figure out, when we're studying this stuff is what we know and what we don't know. Because what you know, you know. So, and that's what these tests are really good for, these practice exams and the questions in the book, especially the practice exams, because it covers pretty much everything what we've went over with all the rules. And it's going to really highlight the areas of your strengths and your areas of your weaknesses and spots that you have to spend a little more time studying with. If you get, a handful wrong, don't get discouraged. But that's just telling you what you have to spend your time on studying. So it's a positive thing. So, we covered all the sounds. So it's already past 8 o'clock. I know you guys are tired. This was a lot, especially with the sounds. So I have nothing more else. Definitely study. I'm gonna send you a practice exam. I can even send you it like tomorrow. That way you don't even have to think about it. Like study the sounds for the weekend. And then my recommendation would be like taking it like, I don't know, sometime over the weekend. And then the first thing on Monday is we're gonna go over the practice test. And I'm gonna go over every question and like the kind of like show you the way how I go about reading them and picking why the answer is the right answer compared to the other ones. So like, do the practice questions in the book and you guys will be good.
Okay.
Any other questions?
So the practice book on the ones in the book, I think they start on 250, right? Do we just start ripping through these? Doesn't matter where we.
Yeah, go at your own pace. Just start doing
Okay.
the practice questions because
And then,
a lot we covered pretty much, I mean, watch it real quickly. I'll just hold on, give me 2 seconds. I'm just gonna open PowerPoint 16. I'm not going over any of this, but I'm just gonna show you what the last PowerPoint looks like. Give me 2 seconds.
One of the other things I tried too, and I think that this has helped, so it makes it harder, but I went to Chat GPT and just put in rules of the road, and it will give you questions via
Yeah.
Chat GPT if you've got that as an app on your phone. It's free and it's free. Um, and they'll throw so many questions at you too. So that
So
helps.
this is, yeah, all, even when I was doing this, I used like Quizlet and just to get more questions from what the book gave and what the practice gave. I just did as many practice questions as I could and got it because it's getting used to answering the questions really. It's all multiple choice. So like I'm just gonna that's a I'm not going over this, but like this is what I kind of do before even Monday. So like this is the last slide deck of rules of the road. So law enforcement vessels, police, they'll show blue lights.
Yep.
Public safety, they'll show red and yellow light. But there's not lights on barges are always white at the farthest corners away from the bank, so they stick out in the channel. We already went over fishing. And a lot of this information now, which should be like a light bulb turn on, it's going over the same things we just went over, highlighting real important information. We already went over vessel navigation lights. So there's really no new information. Going over like this is like summarizing real key important points, class 16. We already went all over this new information, so that's why I'm showing you this now, not to stress out about it. There's really no more new information. And that's it. So we're pretty much done with the rules of the road. There's only like 3 other things to learn about, which, public safety, law enforcement vessel, and, barges that are in, a channel. They would have to have white lights on the farthest corners that stick out away from the bank that are in the channel. They would have to be white. So that's pretty much all the rules of the road, which I'll go over this again on Monday, but that's pretty much it for the rules of the road. So there's really no more new information. Oh, can you turn on your mic? Oh, were you saying something?
My dog is eating an ice cube.
Oh, yeah, yeah. They like ice cubes. So pretty much that's it for the rules of the road. So that's why I kind of just want to show you this. Like, there's really no more information. So focus on the sounds and just take one day at a time. Now you're right though. Like you said, how's the best way to approach this? Because now we're gonna get into chart plotting in a week, and that's like a good 2.5 weeks of doing it. So it's like while learning something new, you have all this information. So like my best recommendation is like, we're gonna finish chart plotting. The first 2 tests I would take ASAP would be chart plotting and nav general because it's fresh in your head and get that out of the way. And then take a break and then take rules of the road and deck when you study and you feel confident and comfortable. That's my best recommendation is we're going all over the stuff now, but then we're doing chart plotting for like 2.5 weeks. And I would take that ASAP because it's all going to be fresh in your head and it's like hands-on work.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then after that, you're halfway done and then focus on the rules of the road and deck and then take those. But you'll memorize a lot of this information, more than what you think.
Paul, does Greg have tests scheduled like in December, or you have to set that up somewhere else?
I mean, he's in Maine. I'm in Mass, close to whoever was close to, Boston, Marblehead, Salem. So
Yeah, I
in
think he said he's gonna
reality,
set up
you guys can
class
meet up
at his
with
house.
me. You guys could meet up with me at, we could go to like a yacht club where it's approved or whatnot. So there's places around here locally we can do it. Like Chelsea Yacht Club's an approved site by the Coast Guard. So there is locations, East Boston Yacht Club,
Cape
Cape
Ann.
Ann Marina. So we can figure it out. If you're close to Salem, Marblehead, that general neck of the woods, Boston, you can meet up with me. If you're in Maine and you want to take it in person, you can meet up with Greg. And if you want to do it online, you can do it online. So there's really there's different options.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep, no problem. So that's all I got. Definitely get a good night's sleep. Give your brain a break. Look at this stuff tomorrow.
Does this like wake you up in the middle of the night? Like lights, sounds, like the repetition of this has got to like, you
Yeah, it's
must
just,
be thinking about it all the time.
yeah, yeah. Especially when especially starting in like January and I'm teaching like three separate courses at once. I'll go from in person to teach online and it's just I don't even have to look at the slides. I can just talk and just memorize all the slides without even looking at them.
Wow. Wow.
Paul, I just have one thing. I mean, I'm just personally, I felt like there's a lot of stuff in this. Would you say what do students struggle more with, this nav one or with rules of the road?
I would say like rules of the road is definitely more like in every class. I mean, some classes, everyone passes the rules of the road on the first try, right? But I would say most people that need to redo one test is the rules of the road.
Yeah.
Try plotting's 10 questions. And that's like the other difference too.